Sandoval takes it the other way. Left field. Young back. Goodbye. Home run.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Right, let's jump into this deep dive. We're going behind the plate today, folks, talking close plays at home. And you guys sent in a ton of stuff, rule books, case books, even the WBSC umpire manual. So it looks like we're getting serious here.
Definitely serious stuff. And, it's amazing how much goes into just a few seconds for these umpires.
Yeah, I bet it looks so simple on TV, like just did they get the tag or not? But I'm sure there's more to it.
Oh, yeah, way more. I mean, most people think it's about seeing if the runner touches home before the tag, right?
Pretty much. That's what I always thought.
But, the umpire manual actually talks about something they call the 4 essential elements, and it's like their focus for any close play.
Okay, 4 essential elements. Now I got to know, what are those?
It's like being a detective looking for clues. So you've got the ball itself, obviously, then you've got the defensive players, the offensive players, and then the base or the area of play.
Oh, so it's not just about the runner and the catcher then?
No, it's about seeing the whole picture. Like, did someone miss a base earlier? Was a fielder in the way? Did the catcher bobble the ball? All that stuff matters.
Wow. So much to think about in like a split-second decision.
And that's why they drill these elements into umpires, like right from the start. It's about building that awareness of everything happening on the field.
It's like a sixth sense, almost.
Exactly. Now, you've probably noticed umpires have that certain way of positioning themselves for plays at the plate.
Yeah, they kind of get in that low crouch.
It's all about getting the best view, and the manual calls it the slot position. So they're trained to be able to see the whole play, even if they have to be up a little higher than the catcher to see the strike zone too.
Makes sense. If you can't see, you can't make the call right.
Exactly. And it gets even more interesting. The manual says umpires can't just stand still. They got to move with the play.
Move a bit. Like a dance or something?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Kinda. They got to stay with those 4 essential elements, almost like they're flowing with the action.
It's always adjusting to make sure they don't miss anything crucial.
Exactly. And of course, there are different types of plays at home, like tag plays and force outs. Each one has its own challenges for the umpire.
Let's start with tag plays, then. Those seem like the most common. What should an umpire focus on there?
All right, picture this bottom of the 9th tag, game runners flying towards home. The manual, specifically section 8.3.5, recommends standing at a 90-degree angle to the runner a few meters back from the plate.
So not right on top of the action?
Nope. That angle gives you the best view to see if the tag happens before the runner touches home.
Makes sense. But what if it's like a super close play and the runner slides in hard, all dust flying everywhere? Can you even see anything then?
That's when the umpire has to step up. The manual tells them to actually shout, "Show me the ball."
No way, really. I never knew that.
It sounds kind of bossy, but it's important to keep things fair and under control. The umpire has to see the ball to make the call. Now, force outs are a different story, right?
Yeah, no tag involved there.
Exactly. Instead of the tag, the umpire is watching the base itself. They're looking for the fielder to have the ball before the runner gets to the base.
All about timing and control then for force outs.
Precisely. And that brings us to another interesting thing about home plate plays, appeals. Yeah, appeals, those can really mix things up. It's like this whole hidden rule book most fans don't even know about.
Okay, give me an example of an appeal play at home plate.
Okay, say a runner's sliding into home, but they miss the plate completely. Like, in all the excitement, they just don't touch it. And the catcher misses the tag, too.
So the runner's safe, right? They made it to home?
That's where things get interesting. See, the rule book says the umpire would call safe at first because there was no tag. If the catcher notices the runner missed the plate, they can appeal to the umpire.
So it's like a whole new play then?
Exactly. And if the umpire agrees with the appeal and sees that the runner did miss the plate, then they call the runner out.
Whoa, okay, that changes everything. Knowing about appeals could be huge for both players and umpires.
Definitely. It's not just knowing the rules, it's knowing when to use them. Like, let's say a runner leaves a base too early on a fly ball.
Oh yeah, I've seen that happen. They get a little too excited and take off before the ball's caught.
Right. That's a classic base running mistake. But it also opens up the chance for an appeal play. The umpire won't automatically call the runner out unless the defense appeals and points it out.
So the defense has to be just as sharp on the rules as the umpires.
You they need to be watching for those violations and know when to appeal, and the umpire has to confirm it too. Gotta make sure it's official, not just some guy yelling from the outfield.
It's like a constant back and forth. Then everyone's got to be on the same page with the rules.
It really is, and it shows you baseball's not just about being athletic. It's about strategy awareness, knowing the rule book inside and out.
So are there any other common times when an appeal would happen at home plate?
All the time. Let's say a runner is really booking it to the next base and they completely miss stepping on the bag.
I could picture it just racing ahead without touching the base.
Yep. Another situation where the defense has to be paying attention and appeal to the umpire for a ruling.
So even something obvious like missing a base needs to be officially appealed.
That's right. It keeps everything official and gives both teams a fair shake.
You know, it's making me realize umpires are like detectives. They're putting together all these clues and using the right rules at the right time.
That's a great way to put it. They have to be observant, analytical, decisive, all while under pressure in a live game.
Talking about pressure, I can't even imagine how intense it is to make those close calls with the crowd going wild and maybe the game on the line.
The pressure is real, for sure, but luckily the umpire manual doesn't just leave umpires hanging.
They given some tips for handling those high-stress moments.
Absolutely. Section 3.4.4 is all about dealing with pressure. One of the biggest things they say is to embrace the pressure, not avoid it.
Embrace it. That seems kind of backwards.
I know, right? But think about it. If you're always worried about making the wrong call, you're going to hesitate, second-guess yourself, and lose your focus.
So it's more like accepting that pressure is part of the job and using it to your advantage.
Exactly. The manual also says it's important to just focus on one pitch at a time. It's easy to get caught up in the big picture, but if you break it down into smaller chunks, it's less overwhelming.
That's good advice for life in general.
It really is.
Yeah.
And here's another great tip from the manual: use positive self-talk. Don't beat yourself up over a tough call. Remind yourself of your training, your skills, your commitment to being fair.
Like giving yourself a little pep talk.
That's it. Believe in yourself and your confidence will show. The manual even says to reward yourself after a tough game that you umpired well.
They deserve it. Umpiring sounds like a really tough job, mentally and emotionally.
It is, but it's also super rewarding. Umpires are essential to keeping the game fair and honest.
So we've talked about the rules, mechanics, even the mental side of things, but what about those situations where there's no easy answer? You know, the controversial calls everyone argues about.
Those are the real tests of an umpire's experience and judgment. And you know what the WBSC casebooks are, full of those edge-of-your-seat situations.
Like real-life examples umpires have faced over the years.
Exactly. They show you how umpires have dealt with those gray areas where the rules aren't so clear-cut.
I'd love to hear about some of these casebook stories. But what kind of stuff are we talking about?
Well, let's take a look at one from the 2021 Casebook Play 7. A runner slides into home plate but misses it completely. The catcher also misses the tag. What should the umpire do?
Runners outright. They didn't touch home.
That's what most people would think, but remember our talk about appeals.
Oh, right. So the umpire can't just call them out.
Nope. The initial play was a missed tag, so the umpire would signal safe. But if the catcher realizes the runner missed the plate and appeals, it becomes a whole new play.
And then the runner would be out for missing the plate.
You got it. It all comes down to understanding the order of events and knowing when an appeal is needed.
That's a perfect example of how the rules can sometimes lead to results that seem kind of backwards at first.
For sure. And it shows why umpires spend so much time studying the rule books, going to clinics, talking about plays with each other. They have to be ready for anything.
Wow, we've covered so much rules, mechanics, pressure appeals, even casebook scenarios. What else is there to explore in this world of close plays at home?
It's crazy, right? We've got all these rules, these case studies, but at the end of the day, umpires are still people.
Yeah, they're not robots, right?
Yeah.
They got to make these tough calls so fast and everyone's watching.
Exactly. And, they try to be unbiased, but they're human. They have their own experiences, their own, maybe even a favorite team.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I never thought about that. They probably do have a team they like.
It's true. And think about all the pressure. A single call can change the whole game, maybe even how a whole city feels.
No kidding. So it's not as simple as just reading the rule book and making the call.
Not even close. The same play seen by two different umpires could be called differently. It all comes down to their angle, what they see, their experience.
So all those black and white rules suddenly get kind of blurry.
Exactly. And that's why you have things like umpire consultations and even video replay in some leagues. They know umpires can make mistakes and they're trying to get it right.
Like a safety net for fairness.
Exactly. But, even with all the rules and replays, you're still going to have those controversial calls that everyone argues about.
The ones that make you scream at the TV, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah, those are part of what makes baseball so exciting. It's a game of inches of moments of human drama right there on the field.
It's easy to forget sometimes that there's an umpire right there in the middle of all that, trying to make the best call they can.
For sure. Umpiring is more than a job, it's an art. It takes knowledge, skill, but also courage, integrity, being able to make tough decisions when everyone's watching.
You've really changed my perspective on umpires. I used to think they were just there to enforce the rules, but they're more like interpreters, decision makers, even storytellers in a way.
That's a great way to put it. And I think that's what we've really uncovered today in our deep dive. The whole world of umpiring close plays at home, it's so complex, there's so much pressure, and the human element makes it so fascinating.
I feel like I went from casual fan to like a baseball scholar, analyzing every play, thinking about all the rules, and man, I have so much respect for the people behind the plate.
And to everyone listening out there, next time you see one of those heart-stopping plays at home plate, put yourself in the umpire's shoes. What would you do? How would you balance the rules, the mechanics, the pressure to make that call? It's something to think about as we keep exploring this amazing game of